Alright guys, Motor here, welcome back. So the next topic I want to cover is the DCT. So Goldwing, the current gen, right, the 2018 plus offers dual clutch transmission or automatic, and also a manual variant. And I think the DCT is the most popular, and of course some do prefer the manual version and so on. Now of course I have the DCT, right, so there's no clutch here, and you can upshift or downshift manually if you so chose to, or the computer will automatically take care of the shifting. So the DCT application in the Goldwing is very good. Honda does offer DCT in various other of their models, but with the Goldwing I do feel that the application is quite good. But it does have some quirks, if you will. So when you are riding the bike in a very linear manner and in a very predictable manner, and what I mean by that is, if you are stopped in a stoplight and then when it turns green and when you want to get going, you just throttle up, and the bike will automatically shift from first to second to third to fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So it has 7 gears, and I think seventh is the overdrive. So that is very linear, very predictable, and the shifts happen super smooth. You'll hardly notice it. Similarly, when you want to come to a stop, right, it'll downshift from 7th to 6th all the way up to the first gear. I think from the second to the first you will feel it a little bit, but up to the second gear again the downshifts are fairly smooth. You'll hardly notice it. So it's in a very linear and predictable manner. It works just perfectly fine. It is when in those twisties, sometimes you'll feel that you had a clutch. Okay, before I talk a little bit about the twisties and something for you to be aware of, what I've also noticed is, when you are taking those really long sweeping turns, the Goldwing will shift mid-turn. That's not something you would normally do if you had a manual transmission, right? So what I mean by that is, the Goldwing doesn't have a 6-axis IMU or anything like that, like the Africa Twin, meaning it doesn't know whether it's leaned over. And I say that is because, when you're actually at the middle of the turn, it would actually upshift from 5th to 6th or 6th to 7th. And that's something you don't normally do when you have a manual transmission. That's the point I'm trying to make. And you'll get used to it, but for the first couple of times when it happens, it's a little weird, because when it actually upshifts from 5th to 6th or 6th to 7th in the middle of the turn, the shift is very smooth, so it doesn't really disrupt the flow, but you do lose some power, right, when you actually upshift, and so you'll need to throttle up a little bit more for you to get that extra juice that you want to get out of the turn. So something that it was a little weird for me, but of course I've gotten used to it. It does happen. And of course when you put the bike in the manual mode, that doesn't happen, right? It is only when the bike is in the automatic mode, when it automatically shifts for you, that it happens. The other thing I've noticed is, so in the twisties, right, I'm talking about, let's say, some of the best twisty roads. Like in Texas, there is a stretch of 3 roads called the Three Sisters. Really, really twisty, beautiful roads. And you're already warmed up and you really want to have some fun, right? Your adrenaline is really kicking and you really want to have some fun. And when that happens, right, when you are riding somewhat in a spirited manner, aggressively, sometimes you'll want to throttle up for some extra power. And when it's in the automatic mode again, when you throttle up, the bike will know that it needs to downshift for it to give you the power that you want. And so what happens in that scenario is, like, let's say you are in the 4th gear and you throttle up, and the bike would downshift to 3rd gear, but you're throttled up. That's the key point here. So while you're throttled up, it does downshift. But while you're throttled up, when it downshifts from 4th to 3rd or 3rd to 2nd, the downshift is extremely abrupt and jerky. And it's quite frustrating for me when that happens. It's not smooth. So the workaround for that is, whenever I know I need a little extra power, I actually throttle down, and then I manually downshift using the downshift button here. And I do it fairly quickly, and I've gotten quite good at doing it. So what I would do is I would downshift, and then I will reduce one gear, and then I will throttle up. And when I do it that way, meaning when I throttle down and then I reduce my gears, it's super smooth. You'll never feel it. It's only when you're throttled up and when you want to downshift that you'll have that really jerky and abrupt feel. That's one thing I wanted to mention. Again, that's something you may also notice it. It may not really bother you. If it doesn't bother you, good. But for me, it's a little frustrating. So I've come up with this workaround to counter that, if you will. But other than that, yeah, quite a good system. It doesn't really learn your shifting and so on, meaning it doesn't change to your riding styles. I think the shifting pattern is pre-programmed based on the speed and the RPM and the riding mode and so on. Riding mode also does affect the way the bike shifts. For example, if you put it in econ mode, it'll upshift quite quickly, so to conserve gas. If you are in the sports mode, it's the most aggressive. I'll probably create a separate video about the riding modes and so on. But in the sports mode, it does hold up the gear quite longer. The touring mode is kind of the best of both worlds, if you will, and touring mode is the mode I ride most often. Yeah, that's really from a DCT standpoint. Some quirks here and there for you to be aware of, but otherwise I think it's a really good setup in the Goldwing. I don't think I'll ever ride another Goldwing that is a manual. Of course, I may have other adventure bikes and so on where I will definitely need a clutch and the precise control of a clutch. But for a touring motorcycle like the Goldwing, I think the DCT is a perfect, very innovative, clever way of Honda to make things even more enjoyable. So yeah, that's really my take on the DCT. Again, if you like content like this, I would recommend you guys like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you.